everybody. We're fixing to start Christians Concern for the U.S. We will be right back after these messages. Welcome, everybody, to Christians Concern for the U.S., and we're going to be talking about the truckers in Canada, about the Freedom Convoy. How you doing, Zoe? How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm feeling like I'm in a mighty convoy driving through the night.
Yep. It's going to be awesome, man. Here's what the convoy looks like, man. Right there. They're all in Canada. They're all lined up, ready to drive through there. So thank God they ain't sitting in our street, but anyway, they are down there in Canada. But what have you heard about the convoy, man?
Well, as you know, my running mate, Governor Trucker Bob, is a trucker. He's a truck
Wow.
driver trainer. And there's that little thing going on with the top of my screen there. I don't know what that funkiness is, but he's a truck driver trainer for Dana, and he's been doing that for 7 years. And so he's not new to trucking, but he is excited as I am to see that truckers around the world are uniting in the cause of liberty. You know, I guess Marxists thought the workers would revolt against the aristocracy and the monarchy, but they never counted on liberty
Yeah.
being the antidote to totalitarianism. And so it's great to see that the War of 1812, you know, we went to go liberate France, is finally starting to bear some fruit. Maybe that war is about to be over.
Yes. Praise God. Praise God. Yes, it's crazy how that stuff goes. And you know, the whole thing about the convoy is just a bunch of hardworking folks that's trying to let their voice be heard. All it is. It's just some hardworking folks trying to let their voice be heard. And you know, when you stand up to the left, they come back with some type of crazy rhetoric. You know, they call you names, they call you this, and you're racist, and you're Marxist, and they come up with everything that they are. Basically, they come out with everything that they are, and then we see these folks. They're actually thinking that somebody is actually going to do something. They got a bunch of trucks, you know, covering all their interstates, and it would kind of give them an idea to, you know, we should do something. We should rethink what we're doing. So the whole reason they're actually doing this is because of the COVID-19 mask mandates and all the things that they're doing in Canada right now. They're kind of like Biden on steroids down there. I mean, they're extremely doing some extremely crazy stuff in Canada right now. So what all type of mandates do they have in Canada, man?
I know it's vaccine passports. Like if you don't have the vaccine, then you can't come. You know, you got to be able to demonstrate. You got to be able to show your papers. 999. We got a bunch of and I can't say the word because I don't want it to get deleted from YouTube, but they did not see this coming, that they would look exactly like their forefathers, the totalitarians before them. You know, really what they're trying to do is they think that they can use corporatists. And what I mean by corporatists are like government and corporations, major corporations, like working together like an aristocracy and the government, you know, in a totalitarian kind of regime. It's very similar to fascism. And they're trying to use that vehicle to control the people, do like a total government. Like, you will do what we say, or we're going to punish you. We'll pretend like we're going to give you liberty, but at the end of the day, if you don't obey, then we're going to take everything you own in your life if we need to. And so that didn't really work out as planned because of the truckers. I mean, they're blue collar, they pay taxes, they work hard, 14, 16-hour days to make sure that everybody is supplied with whatever needs. And now they're having their own Boston Tea Party because they don't want to, the vax mandate, they don't want a passport. They don't want that. I mean, I'm in a truck all day. There's no one size fits all in medicine. I mean, even God doesn't have a one size fits all. I don't get the same vitamin D that Brother Stan gets when he gets in the sun because I got dark skin. You know, the one size fits all jab in your arm, that's not the way to go. And it's kind of stupid that, we would have totalitarian governors like Justin Trudeau, who is going to try to, bend the will of the people to conform to his, rather than find out what the will of the people is and then do that.
So we're going to go and see what this prime minister is saying amongst his people, and I'm going to let you guys see this. Here we go. We're going to go right into this right now.
I've asked the Prime Minister to meet with me and the other opposition leaders in good faith to try to find a way forward from this impasse. He didn't answer yesterday. He hasn't answered to date. I'm going to ask him again. Will he meet with us?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party of Canada has spent the last 2 weeks endorsing and enabling these blockades across the country. The leader of the Conservative Party and her team have been their biggest champions, even promoting their fundraising. The consequences of these actions are having dire impacts. They're impacting trade, they're hurting jobs, they're threatening our economy, and they're obstructing our communities. I am focused on ending it. I hope the Leader of the Opposition will maintain her current position and continue to call for an end to these blockades.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Continues to blame others for things that he's responsible for. Today, he actually has a chance to do something for Canadians. We have a motion before this House that would tell the government to let Canadians know when they are going to end these restrictions. 2 years into this pandemic, and given the current circumstances, it's not an unreasonable request. Canadians deserve a Prime Minister who's willing to follow science and lift the restrictions. Even his own Liberal MPs agree with us. So a simple question for the Prime Minister. Will he and his fellow Liberal members of Parliament support our motion that is on the floor today?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, everyone in this country is sick and tired of lockdowns and, quite frankly, of COVID-19. But Canadians also know that the way through this pandemic is by listening to science, is by following public health advice, and indeed by getting vaccinated. That is what we have been focused on from the very beginning, and that's why we're continuing to encourage Canadians to please get vaccinated. About 61,000 Canadians got their first dose just last week. We need more people to continue to step up, get vaccinated, get their kids vaccinated, get the booster shot. That's how we stay safe. That's how we support our frontline health workers.
The Leader of the Opposition.
I have a question for the Prime Minister because he's talking about vaccinations. We all support vaccines, and 90%, as he has said, 90% of Canadians have been vaccinated. Is he suggesting that unless 100% of Canadians are vaccinated, he's not even going to consider opening up and lifting restrictions? Is that what he's trying to tell us? 90% is good for us, and I would say other countries in the world who have less vaccine uptake. Is he saying he's not going to do anything until 100% of Canadians are vaccinated? Really?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, not only are Canadians tired of this pandemic, of the challenges we're facing, but they're also, of course, tired of the restrictions, tired of the rules, tired of the lockdowns. That is understandable. But you know what helps lift restrictions? You know what helps move beyond lockdowns? Vaccinations. When Canadians get vaccinated, including with our vaccine mandates that ensure the federal public service and
Okay. does the vaccines even really work anyway?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily like gonna slam the vax only because people can do whatever they want to do. You can put whatever you want to put inside your body. I'm not trying to tell
Yeah.
you, but the idea that we never got to 100% eradication of influenza, which is far less deadly, and we have far more viral therapies and vaccines available for, FDA approved for that matter. So it's kind of a stupid notion that if you can get to 90% vaccinated, that we can't live unless we're 100% vaccinated. It's kind of stupid. What a dummy.
It don't make no sense. It just seemed like he just wants to get away. It's all
That's exactly
it
it.
is. He just wants to
Exactly.
get away, and he wants to have power over people. And the only reason they're using this, I really believe, if it wasn't a power play, this vaccination thing would have disappeared a long time ago. But this is the only way that they can take a hold on the people. And if you really look at it, what this prime minister says and what the Democratic Party says is exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's really silly because the vaccine itself, excuse me, the EUA version of the vaccine and even the FDA approved version of the thing, it doesn't have a vaccine information sheet. It's got a fact sheet. It doesn't have like the FDA produced vaccine information sheet. It's got a Pfizer vaccine manufacturer's fact sheet. It's not even the FDA that creates the fact sheet. It's the people who sell the drug. They don't care about your health. They care about selling you a product. And so we're banking everything on people who we have been, they're not transparent. They will straight up lie to us. They have no liability. Why in the world would we trust that? And so what I'm happy about, though, is that the people are fed up and liberty people are standing up, and as they should. The problem is that I think that on the other side, they don't care, really. They're like, yeah, shut down the country. Keep shutting it down. Make the grocery store shelves bare. Cause the country to be in irreparable harm. Because then we'll need total government. Because the thing will be in chaos. So for them, even us standing up and having this Boston Tea Party, this blockade in Canada, they're not thinking they're in a losing position at all. They're just going to keep standing because, all you can do is try to get rid of them. But then if you get rid of them, we can't go back to business as usual. And they just make the case that, you help these terrorists make your life miserable. And so now they have a political tool later. So I'm saying all this not to discourage what they're doing as much as to say that, like, we got to think in the minds of our adversaries. And so we got to start thinking of ways to have a parallel economy too. It's not just protest. We can't just protest and elect people. We got to create a parallel economy where we don't depend on big government. The only way you can fight big government tyranny is to rid yourself of government dependency altogether.
That's it. And this here is up to what they're looking for. But I really believe that everybody needs to be involved in this and just really support these people that's running for office, kind of like you, Zoe, and find people that's supporting what you're looking for, what the change that you want for your government. Support them, no matter what the political parties are saying on TV and what they're telling you that you need to do this and you need to do that. You go with your heart and go with what you want to see change in your community. If you're seeing no change in your community from that politician that you elected so many years ago, make a change. That's the freedom, praise God. So you really need to look at that and not go by, where they're handing things out. You actually need to go online and look at what they're for. What do they support? What type of issues do they support?
Yeah.
And they'll tell you anything. But if you look at their website, you go to what they support, it's right there. Now, when President Biden was running and Trump was running, nobody went and looked at Biden's website that much. All the crazy stuff that he did was there. All thing you had to do was just read it. Nobody wanted to read it. They just went by what everybody was saying. And I think that's the biggest thing. We really need to, do some research before we go into the polls. What do you think? So,
Yeah, and it's difficult too. Like you said, they'll tell you anything. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They'll say anything to make you think. But there's a philosophical issue here. And the philosophical issue is like consistency. Like what is your life based on? And what we really need to be able to see is like throughout their, at least, I mean, it could be a short period because people change, over time. But we need to look at like the content of their character throughout their life, their social media, their as well. Like truly, you can go in and watch how they comment on other people's social media. Things like that too are important. The website's surely important. Going and actually meeting them and talking to them and asking them questions is important. If you ask them a question and they kind of dance around it,
Yeah.
unless they're just trying to explain their position in a way that's, understandable. If they're just dancing around something because, but it's important for us to realize that they don't have to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a purity test in conservatism. And if you don't line up 100%, then you know what? We can't support you in anything. And I think that's been kind of a difficulty in the conservative movement because our adversaries, they'll coalesce with anybody that's the enemy of my enemy is my friend is how they that's how they associate it. And so because we have a purity test, we're immediately discounting and selling people out because we may not even understand what they mean, but how we perceive it and how we interpret it. So I think it's really important to actually go and chat with people, find out who they really are, and by doing so, you'll be able to see if they're real, if they're genuine, if what they're saying is what they really believe, or are they just saying something that they heard or somebody wrote for them,
And what's the funniest thing is that they was talking to some of the politicians that's actually in D.C., and they would actually get their information off the news that happened that morning or what they read in the newspaper. They didn't actually go out and do research and see what was really going just by what the news said to them. And do we really trust the news nowadays about anything? So
I don't think they do either. Honestly, I don't think they trust the news. I think they just repeat it because it's the easiest way out of a hard question. They'll use the media so they can say, "Yeah, I heard on the news on CNN on blah 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 blah," and they say it. And then if it comes back, not true, they're like, "Yeah, well, that was the CNN report. That was the report I got."
It's just some crazy stuff, and I really believe, as a congressman or whatever, you need to go and actually get real information, and you need to get real stuff to make the right decision on what you're doing. And it's just some of the crazy things I was hearing that was coming out of Washington D.C. And I'll tell you something's really funny. Did you ever hear about Biden having a set for his broadcast across the street from the White House?
No, I didn't hear that. That's interesting.
Yes, he actually has a set that he has over across the street from the White House. And he goes in that little set because they actually have things that he can read better.
Yeah.
And I had a brother of mine that didn't believe me. Then all of a sudden it showed up in the news. I was like, I told you, man. I told you he was doing that. I'm gonna see if I can find that right quick.
That's
it
funny.
was, here we go. But yes, it's really interesting. We're going to go right into that right now. I'm going to let you guys see it. Here we go.
White House set for some of his speeches. Why is he doing that?
So he reads the prompter without people seeing the prompter. Former President Trump's senior advisor, Stephen Miller, says this. It allows him to read a script directly from a face-on monitor and without teleprompter glass that can be seen on camera. The set also has fake windows, fake flowers, just right across the street from the White House. Look, if former President Trump was called the reality show president, Biden's got to be the delusional president. I mean, a set with fake windows right across the street from the White House?
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, is this real life, or is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, escape from reality. It's like we're living in a Twilight Zone episode or something.
Yet it keeps going and going, man.
There's an empty suit. I mean, a sock puppet washed on hot in the White House, pretending. And the guy, I don't even know. I mean, maybe he can, talk policy stuff behind the scenes with people, But I listen to him and I watch him and I'm like, he really has to probably be in a room getting trained every day as to what he needs to say. They have to, it's almost like, people go to the gym and they work out with weights, so they can be in shape, so they can hit the tennis ball. I think he has to go in there and like actually work out with people for his mind in order to be able to have a real conversation with someone, And it's really sad. It's disturbing. It's like, it should be elder abuse. We should put someone in jail. Adult Protective Services. Go to the White House.
Yeah.
Rescue this old man that they're taking advantage of.
It's actually kindly sad. Like you said, it was kindly sad that they got so desperate they had to find whoever they could to put into office. He was actually put into office. He wasn't voted in. He was put into office. And then they're like, well, you don't really know what's going on anyway. We can tell him to sign anything that we want him to. So
Yep.
that's
What is this I'm signing? Just sign it. What is that?
And you could see that happening. They actually had it on film. They put it to him. He's like, and he signed it. I'm like, man, what's going on here? But they're wanting to get him a what's that test that tests your mind for elderly people?
Yeah. He needs a psychological evaluation.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
They got a congressman right now has actually sent that to the White House for him to have that done, and they will not have him to do it. It's actually being gave to the White House, and they still waiting on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think he's going to be stepping down.
What bothers me the most isn't what Democrats do; it's what Republicans don't.
That's it.
It's a sad commentary that we're here. The whole thing is just atrocious. I'm just in disbelief but I guess it makes sense. That's why Donald Trump was such a attractive candidate and president, because he fought and he stood for what he believed in. He was strong. He made statements that other people wouldn't make and did things that other people wouldn't do, not just to have controversy, but to make a stand on a position and what's right. He had, even though he may not have been the most, perfectly moral person, he had moral courage. When he needed it, he was virtuous, and he would stand for what's right. And Republicans will fight you if you even suggest that the election was like stolen through manipulation and fraud. They won't even show up to election. Like, I was at the Southland Safe Elections meeting like Saturday or so ago, and they were showing how all these people in these different counties in these different precincts had 17 affidavits they have written out or something to that effect of fraud, and it's not necessarily that they can prove it's fraud, but they have these affidavits in order for them to investigate it. I'm talking like dead people voting, people saying they voted but their votes are lost. It wasn't counted. They went and they canvassed. They went house to house in precincts. They mailed out mailers to see if the mail would kick it back, because that means you don't live there if the mail kicks it back, And they'd also go to their houses and look and see if people lived there. And sometimes they had hundreds and hundreds of addresses that were P.O. boxes in grocery stores and just the post office address itself. And we had like 4 legislators out of how many hundreds in South Carolina that showed up to the event. 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. And so that's the key is like, what I'm concerned with is that it doesn't get any better unless all the Christians, all the people who have virtue and who are moral and will stand for what's right, it won't change unless we all stand up, and not stand up to go protest, but stand up to go make disciples. We need to go teach people like what the Constitution says even. What does it look like to be a Christian as a judge, as the one who bears a sword, as the one who bears the scepter, Because that's what God said. Don't you know the saints will judge the world? 1 Corinthians 6, chapter 2. His ministers bear the sword. Romans 13. The scepter of wickedness shall not rule over the land of the righteous. Psalm 125. And there's a reality here that God wants us to step up and take our duty. We've talked about this before, but unless we do that, we're finished,
Yeah, we're going to stand up. And the thing of it is, like you said, the Republican community, they don't like to speak out when they need to.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the key to stand up and speak for your rights, because if you don't, the other side don't care. They'll just take over.
That's right.
They're hoping that you don't say nothing, because they will say something. They're not staying quiet at all. Actually, they're getting aggressive. They've been aggressive. And if you don't speak up, they just take over. So I really believe that Christian community needs to speak up. They actually need to go and vote. I really believe, during the last election, one of the biggest things that they did was they was trying to cause chaos in the Republican community, where they can go and have their election and say, well, if you're not going to vote for him, vote for us, and trying to flip that really quick. And I saw that during the presidential election, and that's just politics as normal, but that's just how that goes. But you've really got to look at their values, what they stand for, what they're going to do when they get in office, because everything that he actually had on his paper there, Biden, like he was going to take away guns, he's been trying to do that. Thank God they've been stopping him. All the weird things that they had, he actually has been trying to do that. So no matter if he stops and says, no, I'm not going to do that, but go to the original draw out what his plan was, he always goes back to that plan. So you've got to do some research on some of these people.
Oh yeah. There's no way back. There's no way out. There's no other way. You know what I'm saying? There is no other way. I think apathy is the main cause of our, the power that we have been given, the consent. They govern because we consent, right? So that we have the power to take that consent back, but they arrogated our rights, our duty, our government, our system. They took it. Wicked people have taken hold of our system. And weak Republicans, as Donald Trump called them on January 6th, weak Republicans just allowed it to happen. That's no different than letting people die on the battlefield. Civil elections are what, protect us from having civil wars. If we don't have elections that we can trust, then that means we don't have a government that we can trust. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And so we need to be able to have confidence in our elections. And the only way we have that, the only way confidence is restored in elections, is if the party that was harmed by illegal laws, all kinds of illegal shenanigans, that party stands up together as a group and says, no, we won't let it stand. We want, could you imagine if all the Republicans stood up? But I guess they can't, because I think if some of them stood up, they probably would lose. Some of them probably have bought in to these machines because it helps them as well. It helps them win primaries. So people that would not win, probably depend on these machines that are connected to the internet, like they said they weren't.
Yeah, they actually, when you have anything that's connected to the internet, you can actually go to the computer and actually find out where it's connected, how it's going out. And then when they was looking at the vote machines, they had connections everywhere to them things. It was just like plain sight.
China, Germany.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad when Europe knows when your election's up and you don't.
Yeah. But I think too, though, that our adversaries, they're looking for us to not be number one anymore. They're hoping that things happen so they can take up all that business. So they're not stepping in to save the day. A lot of them probably already know the things that took place. But for them, strategically, it's better to know that information and try to use it as leverage, or watch and wait the collapse in America so they can, have CCP boots on the ground in somewhere in South America to move right on into North America, you know? It's a sad. I mean, I keep saying that word sad because it is. Like I almost want to weep, and sometimes because, I mean, truly, I believe that America was created as a refuge for Christians. I mean, not all the Christians that came here were willing to bear the sword. Some of them, had an interpretation of the scriptures where they wouldn't, even join the militia. They were like lambs, and they could be slaughtered by, and so it required other believers like us, who, I mean, granted, that your conscience is telling you that I'm not gonna shame you because of your conscience and the decision you're making, but I will give my life for you, just like Jesus would. And matter of fact, I will, because I'm bearing the sword and He's given me authority, like Romans 13. I will prevent them from trespassing you, and so that's what America was founded for, was to protect the sheep, and we're allowing it to be ruled by the wolves that just want to
Yeah.
devour the sheep,
Like I've said before, I really believe this has been going on all the time. I believe this has been going on all the time, and just now it's being revealed. Just now, it's just like I was hearing one of the other news guys that's really has a lot of connections. He said that all the congressmen in D.C. knows that the FBI is the CIA. Same thing.
Oh wow!
He said,
yeah, I guess it makes sense they work together. So
yeah, he said they're actually the same thing. He says all the congressmen and people in D.C. knows that, but not everybody else knows that.
yeah.
So he said it was, and they was talking about how if Trump would get in, what he would have to do to clean the swamp. And he said the only way he could is to actually take some of the Republicans out and take a lot of the other ones out, where he can actually get people that he can trust to do that, because right now he said it would be impossible. Right now it'd be impossible. So it's there's a lot of stuff going on there, and I really believe when he got in office, he didn't know how bad it was until he got in there, and it seemed like everything was set up to take him out. As soon as he set day one, as he sat in the seat, it was set up to take him out.
Yeah.
Day one. So it was him working hard, trying to do some things for this country. And I really believe anybody that has a righteous heart to get in and try to do some right things for the country, I think it would be set up the same way for them. Yeah. Because they want business as usual, and if you're not in with their plan, they don't want you there. So that's
right. There's a permanent DC class. There's a permanent SC class. There's a permanent NC class. There's a permanent class of political types whose entire mission is to preserve the status quo, establishment, elitist, evil occupation of our government. And so that's their whole job, is to linger. They come in the forms of associations and lawyers and insurance people and lobbyists and former politicians who are now judges, and legislators that are now judges. And they uphold the infrastructure of wickedness in our states.
Yeah. And one thing I think is the best way to get some of those folks out when it comes election day, go vote for Trucker Bob.
Yeah.
How much real can you get that than Trucker Bob, folks? I mean, you never heard him being, mayor or anything. I mean, tell him a little bit about Trucker Bob, man.
Trucker Bob he's a pretty phenomenal guy, man. He's got so much charisma, one-on-one, like personal, interpersonal relations and skills are off the charts. I watched him. We walked around the State House during session the other day, and we went over to the offices of the House representatives and senators, and we were talking and shaking hands with people. And I got to watch Trucker Bob connect with these senators and reps, House reps and stuff. And man, that guy is dynamic. He's got an amazing personality. He ran a chain of mattress stores through Alabama and North Carolina and upstate South Carolina. It was called Mattress World. Most people remember Mattress World, but he was the owner of that. And something happened to his wife. She got a cancer in her lungs, and she was, not going to survive it. Bernie Mac died of that cancer. I think Reggie White also died of that cancer, and so his wife was going to die of that cancer. It's generally a cancer that affects minorities, and his wife is mixed. She's got minority blood. So anyway, he shut the whole chain of stores down, at least, or he sold it or something. I don't know how that worked out, but he quit. He left the stores, and for 5 years, he was just praying and watching his wife almost die. Like, she would turn gray. Didn't think she was going to survive it. And don't you know, bro, this incurable disease, she got radically healed.
Wow.
No,
That's pretty
yeah,
awesome.
she got radically healed of a fatal terminal disease. And obviously, Trucker Bob is he's just a dynamic individual, man. And he's got a real consciousness of God. He's relied on God through really tough times, and he still loves and worships God. And so it comes out in everything he does and says. Now, he is very, very much a strong personality too. He's got a big old voice. If he's talking or you're talking and then he starts talking, you're not talking anymore, because it's so strong, and his personality is so piercing. There's no wrestling in conversation really with him. You just got to wait until he stops, because and what he says is so potent. He means it, so it's coming out with that energy, that lets you know he means what he's saying. And so I just really love hanging out with Trucker Bob, number one, on the campaign trail. But I look forward to seeing Trucker Bob, really find out the scum that's in our state house, that's in our, all of our agencies, and also find the gems that are in those agencies too, because there's lots of really, really, really good people in there whose voices have been staunched, who haven't had a champion in the governorship, who've always had people that go along to get along, big business, big pharma, big hospital systems, big you name it, big pharma, big farms, whatever. I want our farms to work. I want small businesses to work. I want big businesses to be successful here. We're not trying to make people not lose money, but the idea is that we're not going to bend over and bow and worship at the altar of big business. We the people are as important as every big business in our country, every big business in our state. It doesn't matter if you're an international company, multinational company. That doesn't mean you deserve 1,000 acres for $1. If I can't give 1 acre to a small business person who also could hire a few hundred people, So anyway, I'm saying all that to say that we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to try to work with the people of South Carolina to produce the change necessary so that our lives can be not only prosperous, but respected. We got entire areas of our state that have been disrespected for years. Truly. The Opportunity Zone came out, with Trump, and they haven't even taken advantage of it because, they're the overlooked and disrespected areas of our state. And they could be some of the greatest, most prosperous areas of our state. And so we got a plan. I'm not going to tell you the whole plan right now, but we got a plan. We got to fix our roads. That's numero una on the list, is fixing the roads in South Carolina. Everybody who drives through South Carolina knows that they've entered South Carolina if they are driving on an interstate. If they're driving on any road in South Carolina, you're in South Carolina. And that's a shame. We got people in South Carolina that have waited 75 years to get their roads paved. Seriously.
Wow.
The system needs to be gutted and recreated from the ground up, but we got some plans to kind of incrementally help that too. And I'm not going to talk about that, but the reality is that God willing, if he puts us into the governorship of South Carolina, which we believe he will, and I'm the lieutenant governor of South Carolina, my whole aim is going to be a voice for those who need a voice and to be their champion, because my job will be the Office of Aging. Did you know there was a time in South Carolina, I don't know if it's still that way right now, but where they would call the elderly care facilities the vegetable garden. Orderlies would call it that. There's this guy whose mother was taken captive by DSS because he was filing a lawsuit against SLED in Horry County, and they came and took his mom because she was the only witness to this particular crime, and so they tried to say he was taking advantage of her. So they took her out of his house, and she was ornery and cantankerous when she left. But when we finally got to her, she was just this dried up, shriveled, pale.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yes, I know about that type of stuff. It's very unique how they take care of the nursing home folks. Hopefully that those picture comes back here. It finally froze up on me. But anyway, yes, it's bad how they do nursing homes, and I actually know exactly. There it goes. I think it's going back now a little bit. Here it comes. It's going back in.
Yeah, I
There
don't
you
know.
are,
Was it
Zoe.
my connection that was bad?
Yeah, yours is still acting weird there, but it was doing good there for a while. But it should start see what's going on there. But yes, you was talking about the nursing homes. Yeah, nursing homes is something really something I really believe that our communities need to look into. I think they're actually pretty bad everywhere. And, as I believe every state needs to go and look into those nursing homes. I had a lot of relatives in there and really see where there could be some
You suck
work in
all
some
the.
of the. There it
Yeah, I think
goes.
it's your video. I think it's yours because I can see the timer. It's going for mine. So I think your video is freezing for some reason. But anyway, like when they took her captive, when they take these old elderly people, they want to get them to dementia category because then they can get more money from the federal government. They can put them on Risperdal, which is a serotonin reuptake drug, and they can suck their Medicare away. They don't have to deal with ornery, cantankerous elderly people. They're just quiet, and docile, and they get this extra money from the federal government for the dementia. And so that's just like COVID-19. It's the exact same scheme. And they were doing it on the elderly here in South Carolina. So we got a whole lot of work to do. And South Carolina's got a lot of darkness that needs to be rooted out. Light needs to shine. So we're looking forward to the task.
Amen. Amen. Like I was saying before, there's a lot of nursing homes, even in this state, that needs to be dealt with. I mean, I've had some, grandparents and family members, and I saw a lot of abuse and a lot of things that they would do. And I actually saw where they was using the nursing home like a business, like one's out, another one's in. It's just like they would rotate them, kind of like they was furniture or something. And I believe that they should treat the elderly just like their own family, and not not like like it's a business thing. You're there to help the family and help the individual that's in rough times, and that you need to help take care of them. And there is some folks out there that is in the nursing home business that they actually do take care of the people and treat them just like family members. So yes, I understand that 100%.
Wow.
So
That was my video. I just wanted to check. For some reason, I could going fine on my side, but it wasn't doing anything.
yeah, it was yours. But
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't know what's going on with my internet over here. It's plugged in to my system is not connecting to the internet properly. It's bizarre. So right now I'm using my laptop and a Wi-Fi device to connect. So that's probably why I need to like maybe hold this up like this, like the old bunny ears or something, or the old TVs. Do this.
yeah, yeah. Put some tinfoil around it or something.
Yeah,
And
wrap it in some foil here. Let me find. Put a hanger in it.
I'm here. But yeah, it's awesome to have you on here today, Zoe, as always. And and I hope God does some great things with y'all's election and really bring you guys right into where you need to be. And I know God's gonna bless you guys. So, well, he's froze again. But anyway, it's good. But anyway, I want to thank everybody. Zoe, thank you so much for being on here. And I'm gonna fix to take that off there. Home here, wrong one. Um, there I am. There we go. Thank you, Zoe, for coming on here. Yeah, his connection's down there a little bit. But anyway, I want to thank him so much for being on here, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching me tonight. It's been an awesome time in the Lord, and got to hear Zoe talk about his campaign and got to talk about the truckers in Canada. Praise God. That was awesome. So, guys, I will see you again next week. And the next time that you'll see me will be Friday Night Live. God bless you, and I will see you guys then.